first episode of Two Girls, One Book Club. I'm surprised we got that on the first take.
We're not ever that good.
We are in sync today. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, our first episode is On the Dill by Elle Kennedy. Raven is the one that found us this book.
I was at Walmart by myself, one of the only times I've ever without my children.
That never happens.
And I was like, let's just browse the book section, because why not? So I found it on the shelf, and I was like, I mean, you know the cover. And so I was like...
We'll show the people who are watching this on our YouTube channel, which is also Two Girls, One Book Club. So
yes.
Go check us out there.
So I read the back, and I was like, why not? So then I binge read it probably a whole day.
Wait, is it 400 pages?
It's close. It's 370, but
I love how you just know that off the top of your head.
I just binge read it. I had bought like a ton of books at once.
What else?
Because I bought the whole ACOTAR series.
Oh, that's right.
I bought the Discovery of Witches series. I bought the
I still haven't read.
That's okay. You have one, Willie has one. It's all good. I bought the.
How many copies do you have?
No, it's a trilogy of 3.
Oh,
you have the first. She has the second.
Like... Okay.
I bought 3 forever. No. So anyway, I had bought a bunch, and I borrowed some books from the library. So I just was like, Brian was playing the PlayStation. Hogwarts Legacy had just come out,
which I didn't get far into. And Eric's friend was like, "Oh, like, do you like it?" Like, I was like, "I don't have time to play it anymore. I'm reading like 3 books a week." So
I tried and I couldn't figure it out. And then Brian came home and I was like, I got frustrated.
Yeah, me
and then
too.
he showed me how to do it. And I was like, of course.
Yeah, I gave up.
So, but he was playing Hogwarts Legacy a lot, and I would sit on the floor next to him, and he was in the chair, and I would just read. And then it'd be like 3 a.m., and I was like, time for us to go to bed now.
Yeah.
And then we would go to bed.
Yeah.
So I read it, and then I brought it to work.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I feel like reading is probably what solidified this friendship, because I had only been working mornings. Because this was back in like February. So I had started working mornings.
Well, I think it was like January.
Yeah.
And then February we decided to start our book
club from work. Yeah.
And so, because we were talking at work, because Holly was there, and we were talking about books.
Starting a book club. Because I think it wasn't until, it was either right before or right after Christmas that I started working in the mornings as well. I don't know. It wasn't that long, though, when I was like, read this book that I just read.
Yeah. I think it might have been just before.
I think it was just before.
You took over for Holly.
Yeah, because I took over, because they said, we need more people in the mornings. I said, I'll do it. And then I took the time off at Christmas and in January, because we went to California for the Rose Bowl. Go Utes.
I was going to say, didn't you also go on a cruise?
Those were in September, but I was still just working nights.
Well, you went to Oregon.
I went to Florida in November.
Well, in December you went to Oregon.
In December I went to Oregon for Christmas with my family.
And then
I went to California.
Yeah.
So we hit the Rose Bowl at Disneyland.
And you were gone for like a week.
I was gone for a long time, and I felt like
COVID.
this last week.
That's what I got for Christmas.
And then I read the book, and then I was like, Ashley, read this book.
And I did. It took me longer to read, though. I had a harder time getting into it because I was like, I don't like sports. I don't know if I'm going to like this. Would you like to tell them about our experience at the first hockey game we went to?
Yeah,
we read this
we read this, and then we read
Consider Me.
Oh, Consider Me.
Before we went to the hockey game, right?
Yes, we read, because when did we go? We went to the first one?
In March.
In March. So we'd read we'd only read a couple. We read Consider Me, and I don't know. I'd read a couple, but
you had already read Play With Me at that.
I read Play With
Me. I hadn't gotten to that one yet. I don't even know if I was all the way done with Consider Me before we went.
I don't think so. We'd read a couple other books, but not a ton of hockey ones. Yeah. But we live here in Utah, and we have what league are they?
ECHL?
Yeah, something. Anyway.
Hockey league.
Yes.
They're not professionals. They're still great.
They're great. We love them. The Grizzlies. So we went to a game, and we've learned much in the last 2 months
about much about hockey.
But we know much more than we did.
Well, debatable.
So we went to this hockey game, and there's 3 periods in hockey, if you don't know.
I didn't.
Ashley asked me which quarter we were in, and she was confused between quarters and periods.
I was like, oh, was there like 4 quarters? And she was like, there's
3 periods. And it was great, though. We had such a fun time.
We just found out what a
hat trick is.
I was like, wait, what is it called? Lucky Hat Trick?
That it is. Nope.
It's
Also
Lucky
a good book.
Hit, the Hat Trick trilogy.
Also a good trilogy that we'll cover later.
Yeah.
Once Ashley gets through them.
Yeah. I'll get there eventually.
Yeah, but anyway, I mean, this is what kind of started the whole hockey romance for us, and I'd seen it on TikTok a little bit. I feel like it's a lot more popular right now on TikTok than it was towards the beginning of the year.
Because hockey books are blowing up on TikTok right now, and now everybody else is obsessed with the Seattle Krakens, and I'm like, we found them first.
Team. We love them. They're our go-to team, but
they are not in the playoffs.
So we're cheering for the Las Vegas Knights.
Because they're closest to us.
And maybe we can see one of their games next year.
Unless we get, well, I don't think we'll have an NHL team by next year.
I don't
It's probably going
think
to
so,
take a couple years. But when we do, hopefully they're great and they're hot. I'll get a hot Swedish man like Alex Wennberg. What if he gets traded to our hockey team?
Tell Eric you're so sorry.
We're not technically married, so it'd be a quick and easy break.
Yes.
We're done. Sorry. I'm going to go marry a hockey player.
Well, yeah, so this was the one that started it all, but I mean, I've read 61 books this year, and half of them have been hockey books.
61. I have 29. You've read more than I have, like over
it's
half.
It's because the Goodreads.
The Goodreads, that's Willie's jam.
The Goodreads app pressures me when I check, and it tells me I'm like 7 books behind because you made me increase.
Pure
and I'm like,
pressure.
So, but this was... I really liked this book.
Go sit on the trampoline.
I got into it pretty quick. I mean, I felt like there's some other books I've read this year that took me a little bit longer to get into, like ACOTAR mainly. That one took me a little bit to get into, but I feel like this one I got into right away, which is what I did with this one.
I the beginning of ACOTAR is like a slow burn, and I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this. So I pushed through, but I got through it really fast. I read this one pretty quick.
Yeah.
I maybe like
a couple days.
Yeah, I'd say maybe close to about as
week.
long as ACOTAR, but maybe closer to a week.
Yeah.
I think Play With Me is. I hit a reading slump with that one, so it took me forever.
I feel like there's a sweet spot with books where it's like, if it's too short, I don't like it, but if it's too long, I'm like, when are you getting together?
Pages, aren't they?
Yeah, they're really close.
They're like really long. Those ones are good. We'll cover those on our podcast on a different one. But I guess we'll just go ahead and get into like talking about the deal. Like we said, it's a hockey book.
They're in college.
It's not really enemies to lovers. Like, what do you think the trope is? They're not, because like,
I mean,
I guess
it has a little bit of
way.
fake dating, a little bit of enemies to lovers.
Yeah.
But then it also, I feel like it changes from enemies to lovers to friends to lovers.
Yeah.
Because then they do become friends. Also, this podcast will feature spoilers, so if you haven't read it...
Oh, also trigger warnings for this because it does mention SA and domestic violence. So if those are, like, triggering for you, like, please don't listen or like, fast forward. We can put a timestamp in, like, the description of, like, where to fast forward. Yeah, but just listen and read at your own warning. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's a good book. We recommend it. The two main characters are Hannah and Garrett. What's Hannah's last name?
Hannah Wells.
Hannah Wells.
Duh,
because he calls her Wellsy.
We should know this.
We should, but we don't. We just know he's Garrett Graham.
Garrett Graham.
And
he was the first hockey boyfriend.
Your hockey boyfriend.
My hockey boyfriend. He's still up there. Top 10.
Carter Beckett is my number one. And then John Logan from The Mistake, which is the second book.
So the deal is a series of 5.
Is she having a 6th one, or is she?
It's a whole new series. She has
that's right.
a second series coming out in October. It's
That's
the first
not Briar U?
No.
Okay, so it's a third series.
It's called The Graham Effect, and it's its whole own series. So it's.
But is it about Garrett Graham?
Whoa. It's about, spoiler, it's about his daughter, his and Hannah's daughter is the first one.
Yeah.
And so they'll be in it a little bit, but it's mostly going to be focused on her.
Oh.
And she is a hockey player.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay, you were telling me that. Okay. Well, I want to know, what do you think of Hannah and Garrett? Like, not as a couple, as
Just
individuals.
Separately. Well, at first I was like, dang, Hannah's really smart because at the beginning it talks about how pretty much everybody failed this midterm and she got an A on it.
Yeah, but she also took notes from me and just BS'd her way through it.
Which
that's how
later,
I aced all of my college essays. Is I just hoped for the best, just like made stuff up. Okay, so our camera stopped recording, so we have to pick back up wherever we left off.
I think we're just talking about what the book's about.
Yes.
It's about Hannah Wells and Garrett Graham. They're in college.
Wellesley and Graham.
He plays hockey. He's trying to get to the NHL, and
Why did I like forget what
she is singing. She wants to be like a singer-songwriter.
Yeah. Like
And that's what she's going to school for. That's what her major is.
I feel like that's such a waste of money.
Art.
Like, no offense to you art majors out there, but like, I feel like it's kind of a waste of money.
Yes.
You can probably just make a YouTube channel and get
TikTok. That's where it's at now.
But did TikTok exist when this came out? They don't mention it in here.
Copyright 2015.
Okay, so TikTok did not exist.
So, but that's okay. Nowadays, you can do TikTok.
That is true. But yeah, so they're fake dating. That's kind of how it ends up starting.
Yeah, they're in a English class, political. What was it?
The book's right there.
I shall tell you what it is. Philosophical. I thought it was ethics.
Yeah, ethics. I was gonna say econ, but yeah, you're ethics.
Philosophical ethics.
I think econ is from Fault Line.
Yes,
that's the one that they're in. We'll do
that one later.
Yeah.
So they're in this class together. They have a midterm. Pretty much all the class fails it. Hannah gets an A.
Hannah and Justin are the only two that pass.
And he is a football player that she has a crush on. And Garrett, they're offered like a makeup to retake it. But if Garrett doesn't pass, he can't play because it drops his grade point average.
Yeah, and there's a study group. And she tells Garrett to join. And he does, and then he stalks her from there.
He asks her to tutor him. She says, no thanks. Not as nicely as that, but...
Yeah.
And then he realizes that she has this crush on Justin, says, you tutor me, I will pretend to be your date. He'll want what he can't have. Yeah. And that's how the whole thing starts.
Yeah.
And he's very persistent. At the
beginning
of the book.
Like, I wrote down on our questions, like, how would you feel about, like, someone getting your contact info without you giving it to them? And, like, how would you feel about someone, like pestering you that hard to tutor you? Like, would you cave and tutor them?
I probably would have punched him in the face.
Right?
If I was Hannah,
actually, but hold up. He's really hot. So
this is true.
I think I would have been like, oh, well, just don't murder me.
Just don't murder me.
Then yeah, sure. No, why not?
At the beginning of the book, when they go to the study group. She can't make it because they're doing a winter recital is what it is? Winter showcase is what it is. She has to practice for that, so she doesn't make the study groups. That's how he gets her name and her number.
And she is
not happy.
She's not happy. So
she's telling him, leave me alone. And then he ends up sending her a picture of his chest. And thinks that is what's going to make her say yes.
I would be like, what the heck?
And she says, go away.
Yeah.
Ew.
But, okay, I highlighted in, mine on my Kindle that she doesn't like Garrett from the beginning.
No, she doesn't. She thinks he's annoying. She doesn't like jocks.
Justin's a jock, so yes, she does.
She doesn't like him.
She says that most of the popular kids are total douchebags. Case in point, Garrett Graham, the other star athlete in this class, aside from Justin, dude walks around like he owns the place. I guess he kind of does. All he has to do is snap his fingers and an eager girl appears at his side or jumps into his lap or sticks her tongue down his throat. But I mean,
it's not wrong, though. That's
because the book starts out with him going upstairs to find a girl half naked in his room, and he's like, well, I can't say no to that.
Well,
she came all this way. And then he tells her, that girl, I don't remember the name.
I don't remember either. I forgot it because she wasn't important.
Yeah, she doesn't matter.
I think she comes back maybe one other time.
Yeah, at that party.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know nothing about me.
Yeah.
And gets all mad. But he tells that girl that he doesn't want a girlfriend.
Yes.
And then he's fake dating Hannah. And again at the party, she's
and I feel
really
like
mad.
that party was important because he tells the girl, like, you don't know me. And
what's my favorite color?
And Hannah goes, black.
And he's like, how do you know that's my favorite color? And she's like, all you wear is black.
And he's like, well, it's
you
not.
got an Amazon package.
I know exactly what
book?
it is. No, it's my wiper blades from IKEA. I bought the wrong one at Walmart twice. Brian just goes, order it on Amazon. So he did. I bought the wrong one twice because I suck. So, but so then he's like, oh, she goes, then what's your favorite color? He goes, black. And she's like, oh, I knew it. She's like, duh. Like, and then they start to become friends. But
yeah. And then spirals from there.
On down the funnel.
What was your first thoughts of Hannah?
Well, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I think she was just smart. She started at the beginning. Then I don't know. She kind of also came off as a little judgy, though, honestly.
She
like,
kind of annoyed me
I
at
love
first.
Hannah, but she just... Yeah, I can see that. She was just annoying, judgmental.
She's saying that, like, the football players act like they're, like, so much better. And
they're so humble. And like, Garrett's just like, not.
Yeah, but she
but
also
in reality,
seems,
it's like...
Yeah, she was kind of similar. Like, like, I'm too good to, like, tutor you.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
Figure it
like,
out on your
go
own.
to study group, do something. And then he goes, well, I am in, like, the study group, and I can't figure it out. Sucks to suck. Like,
and then you love Garrett. My first thought was like, oh
I thought he was a douche at the beginning.
Yeah, I was like, he is so
I
annoying.
do love Garrett Graham, but I liked him towards the middle of the book.
Yeah.
Once they start to actually become friends, hang out, get to know each other. But at the beginning, I was like, when he's texting her, and I'm like, oh my gosh, leave her alone.
Right? I'd be like, but then
he
again,
texts her so much. But I mean, I think that one of the things that she saw was she's like, oh, he's so stupid. Like, he doesn't know anything. But really, he's actually really smart.
Yeah.
He just doesn't care about this
major,
class.
which I hate history so much.
But, I mean, she's just...
I'm good at it, but I hate it.
I feel like she is super judgmental at the beginning. And it's not until she actually gets past, like, his walls and stuff and starts to see him that she's like, oh, maybe he's not as terrible as I thought.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, it seems like his friends, like, and, like, her roommate, Allie, they all seem to know a lot about each other's sex lives. Like...
I know. Like, a lot.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, we talk about stuff like this all the time. But I'm like, I feel like they know too much.
Too much. There's, like, a
like,
fine
Allie
line.
gets out a measuring tape to show Hannah the length of his junk.
Yes.
So.
And that's too much. We don't talk about that. We just go, have you used for roll-ups? And then that's
Not
what
yet.
we want to know.
Father's Day.
Father's Day.
That's a TikTok. Look it up. Also, this podcast is not for anyone. We should have said this at the beginning. Do not listen if you are under the age of 18 because a lot of the books that we are talking about are very smutty and have, like, explicit content
and
in
language.
And yeah. So, just a heads up with that.
Yeah. I think also, too, at the beginning that Garrett, I mean, like we said, he's kind of a douche, but I feel like there's some points where he doesn't actually mean it.
Yeah.
Because, like, at the beginning, I don't know what chapter this is, but at the beginning, when he realizes that Hannah has a crush on Justin, and he's like, the whole thing where it's like, he tells her, you're not his type, and he just keeps insulting her on accident, and it's like, he's not trying to be, he's trying to be honest.
But also he's saying it, like, because they're, like, in the same frat house.
Yeah.
Like, Garrett doesn't live in the house, he lives off campus.
With 3 of his friends that are also on the hockey team.
Yeah. But they're part of the same frat. So, like, he knows Justin on a personal level, and he's like, he's not really the good guy that you think he is.
Yes.
And she's like, no, he's smart. He reads Hemingway. And he's like, no, he's kind of a total doucher.
Which I feel like Garrett's pretty observant, though.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, which happens more later in the book, which you find stuff out, but I feel like he's pretty good judge of character.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't think they don't really go too much into detail about whether or not Justin is like a womanizing douchebag because
but Hannah gets like bad feelings.
Yeah,
around him and
she
stuff,
like after her
agrees
and
to.
Yeah, after her and Garrett make out, and then she's like, "Whoa, I don't know about
that
about Justin. Now I'm
Yeah.
like feeling uneasy. Like I have a gut feeling I shouldn't agree to go on this date with him." I do like that Justin is like, "Yeah, we can be friends."
Yes.
Like he's like doesn't
I
take
like
it
that
to
he
heart.
at the end when she's trying to like find somebody else to date to convince Garrett that like they're over, that he like calls her out on it. It's like, what is happening right now?
Yeah.
Like,
do you think he'll get his own book?
I think we're gonna have to read Briar You to find out.
That's true.
Because I know he's not in off campus. But
yeah. Well, I don't know if I think he might be in The Mistake for like a second.
Yeah.
Just
Who
because.
knows? Maybe it's his book. Briar You. I really don't know.
I'm going to bring up our other talking points. I have some on here. Just because I guess before we talk about like her and Garrett like hooking up, we have to like backtrack about like Hannah's like past. She was
15.
I have a tickle in my throat. She was 15. She was at a party, right?
She was at a party and she got drugged. And this guy that she knew, they weren't together.
No, they weren't dating, but it was the mayor's son.
Yeah.
Sexually assaults her, and this like
they go to court. His friends defend him.
Yeah,
say
they lied
she
under
was
oath.
Like coming on to him. She'd been
willingly
after for
drank
a while.
The alcohol.
Yeah,
like she took the drugs and
it like ruined her
and her parents'
their
lives.
Reputation, their financial stuff.
Yeah,
so she
because hit the kids. I don't remember his name.
They countersued him.
Yeah, for defamation and all of this stuff
because all the friends lied.
Yeah. So she struggles with like intimacy. Like she had a boyfriend. They were together for like what 8-9 months.
Yeah, quite a
and
while.
she just like could not have an orgasm with him. So she's like saying that she's like broken
Something's wrong with her.
Yeah, and so like she gets drunk and tells Garrett that like she's broken. She doesn't really go into
detail till she's more sober.
Yeah, and then she like comes out and tells him, and then he gets like. Not really mad, like mad, but not at her, like just mad at
the situation that they would lie under oath when this happened.
Yeah, don't worry, that guy gets his comeuppance eventually.
He does. But I feel like one of the things I liked about Hannah was she's freaking sassy in this entire book.
Well, I like that she also doesn't like was able to move past it, like with lots of therapy and everything like that, but she wasn't letting it consume her still.
No.
Which nothing against anybody that, has a harder time.
Right.
I just like that she did, like the author, Elle Kennedy, did highlight that, you can overcome it with help from therapy and support and everything like that.
And while she's dealing with that, I mean, Garrett has his own issues with his dad. That's abusive, abused his mom, abused him until he got big enough to fight back.
Hit him back. Yeah, because he was 12, came home from trick-or-treating, and his dad hit him.
For the first
Broke
time.
his nose.
Yeah.
So.
Broke his arms a couple times. There's just a lot. His dad comes to every game, and
he'll give him a nod if he wins the game, and it completely ignores him if he loses.
And he's stuck in that tight spot because, wow. His dad was abusive. His dad's also paying for all his stuff. His school, his house, his food, his car, his phone, everything.
Yeah.
So he's like saving up money so he can pay his dad back. He has a trust fund coming from his grandparents that he'll get when he turns 21.
Which is like New Year's Day.
New Year's Day.
Is his birthday.
Yeah. So she finally gives in to tutoring him, and she shows up and he goes, "We're going to tutor up here." He takes her to his room to tutor. And that was one of the lines I highlighted in my book.
We're so all over the place with this
It's
book.
Fine.
We'll get better at it. This is our first time.
This is the first time. But he takes her up and to his room and they're studying. And the one thing I highlighted was that, so she is like snapping at him because her partner for this winter recital is the worst. And he just is like making things difficult. He wants a choir. And so Garrett's like, do you sing? Do you play? Like, so she's going to sing him this song. Mm-hmm. And he lays on his bed and he has all these pillows. And Hannah says, I've never met anyone who sleeps with so many pillows. Maybe he needs some to cradle his massive ego. And I just love that she just is like, I mean, she knows. He does have a massive ego, but she...
Okay, but I like pillows. Like,
I know, same.
I'd be like, look at all these nice pillows.
When I was pregnant and I had the pregnancy pillow, Brian hated it. I was like, this is so comfortable. We sleep with this forever.
Do you still have it?
It's in my garage.
Oh, well, those are expensive. So
I know, that's why I was like, it's in the garage.
Yeah.
Gotta keep it forever. Suffered. So, but then she sings to him and he's like blown away.
Yeah.
She's very talented.
Yeah. And she sings her, like, an original song that she hadn't
which was
finished.
Sweet. But one thing I loved about this book and some of the other books I've read is like when they text, it shows.
Yeah.
Like what they're texting and stuff. Mm-hmm. And which I highlighted because I highlight everything.
See, here's the thing. Raven highlights her physical books, and
that you can see that book.
Is sacrilegious to me. You don't highlight a book. They're
when
sacred.
We get to not Wings and Ruins, Mist and Fury, I'll just show my book. All the highlighting, all the tabs.
There's a lot to highlight in that book,
There is so much. And I feel like I highlighted more of this than I thought I would, especially towards the end.
Yeah. But I made her buy these highlight sticky note things, so she'll stop highlighting her books.
I'm still highlighting my books. They piss me off. That's the thing. When I'm trying to highlight a sentence and it's like too long,
I cut them.
No,
scissors.
No, because what do I do with the leftover not sticky part, Ashley? I just
throw it away.
Yeah. That's wasteful.
No, it's not.
So then I'm like,
that's fine. No, I take a pair of scissors with me while I'm reading the book, and so I can snip it when it's too long to fit. So I'm like, I can't only highlight one part and then not like just skip the end part because the little note thingy isn't long enough. So we'll do two, and I just scoot it all the way to the other, like the other edge.
Like,
what if it's like in the middle though, and it starts here?
If it starts here, then I put it like clear over here.
No, I'm talking about like if it starts here.
Well, then you know what? I highlight the whole sentence. I don't even care.
See, I use the sticky things.
No. See? No.
I can't. My books are too precious.
Well, I just have decided to stop loading people in books highlighting them.
Yeah. Well, Willie appreciates the highlights.
I know. Willie likes them a lot.
I don't.
That's fine. I'm not going to give you a book.
She just tells me to read them on my Kindle.
That's why I was like, Ashley's not going to borrow this anymore. She bought it herself. I'll highlight it.
I did buy it on my Kindle for like $4.
Oh, so great. So anyway, back to the book. So they are hanging out, and I do like, one of the things I like about this, so I read a lot of Harry Potter fan fiction, right?
You write Harry Potter.
I write Harry Potter fan fiction. But I read a lot of it, and a lot of those are dual points of view. But this was the first book I ever read that was dual point of view, and I really liked that.
At first, I didn't. I was like,
I know, I wasn't sure because I'd read Harry Potter fan fictions. I read Hermione, so Draco and Hermione, and those will switch.
Yeah,
but not all of them. But this was the first like physical, actual, like legit book that I read. I like them. I like reading the dual point of views. It kind of bugs me now where I read romance once and it's not. And I'm like, what is the other person thinking? I just don't know.
Consider me. No, it is.
It is.
It is. Okay. I was like, wait. No, it is. And I like it too. And even, I think almost every hockey book I've read so far is dual, yeah. Even, like I never said, right?
Like I never said is dual.
Okay, yeah.
So good.
Fantasy books, I'm okay with them being like...
Right, but these ones I need to know.
Yeah.
I need to know what's going on in your heads.
Yeah. Especially because, like, fantasy isn't so much about the romance, except for
Avatar. Yes. I don't know why I keep saying that's the wrong book. Anyway.
That's War.
Whatever. I'll read that one this week.
Oh, yeah, you keep saying that. We'll see.
We'll see. So, they start to become friends, and... I don't know.
It's probably, like, what? Over the halfway point when they really it starts to become like a romance.
A romance, because this what I just opened to, it's chapter 15, and that's when so in chapter 14, her friend works at a diner, and her friend is like, "Hey, we're having a party. Do you want to come or whatever?" And she goes, "I will have to. Like, I'll need to tell Garrett that I gotta come earlier." She calls him. He's at a party. He can't hear. She says, "I'll be there at 7." And he goes, "See you at 9." And she goes, 7. He's like, "Right, yes." Well, she shows up to his house. He's literally in the middle.
Oh, yeah.
Of having sex.
With that same girl, right? Or no?
It was somebody else, I believe.
A different girl, yeah.
And she gets, like, pissed.
She's
like,
too.
You're wasting my time. I'm not gonna help you. Like, you're not taking this seriously. Deal with your grade yourself.
Yeah.
Like, we've been doing it. He apologizes, and then Tiffany, her name is Tiffany.
Ah, Tiffany. That sounds like a bimbo name. Sorry if your name's Tiffany.
So she's, like, ready to break it off, but he goes, "Fine, I won't take you on the pretend date Saturday then."
Oh, yeah.
Which is fine. I'll do it.
Like, fine. For Justin.
So then they start doing it or whatever, and they're talking about how on this date he's gonna, like, I think he touches her arm or something, and she flinches, and he's like, "You can't do that. We're pretending today."
Yeah.
So then he's like, "I'm gonna kiss you." And she goes, "Absolutely not."
Yeah.
And then he tells her that she's a bad kisser, and she's like, "I am not."
Oh, yeah.
And so then she's like, "Fine, we'll kiss." So she kisses him, and
they both like it.
They both like it. Turns into a makeout session, and then...
And she's like, "Oh, wow. Like, I've never really, like, felt this for, like, anyone."
Yes. And...
But then she kisses his roommate.
Right. Well, so then she, like, stops, and she's like, how was that? Because he's supposed to be judging her kissing, right?
Yeah.
He's like, "I don't know, I need to try again." So then they're making out. The roommate comes in, and she's like, "Oh, holy shit, I've just been caught making out with Garrett Graham, and I was enjoying it." Because she's, like, totally against him, like, the entire book. And, yeah, then she's like, "He was just helping me with my technique."
Yeah.
And so then she ends up kissing his friend, and she, like, kisses him and, like, leaves.
Yeah.
And Garrett's pissed.
Yeah.
And he doesn't like that he's pissed.
But she, like, didn't want Garrett to think that it was something more than just... like, she didn't want him to catch on to the fact that she liked it.
She liked it and wants to do it again.
Yeah.
So they go to the party, and they run up with that girl. He meets up with that girl who's all mad and is like, "Why? You told me if you ever decided to have a girlfriend, you'd call me." And her name was Kendall. It's right here.
That's her name. Good old Kendall.
Kendall. This will write down next time. Important names. He starts to get upset because she starts talking. Hannah starts talking
to Justin.
Right.
And they're, like, hitting it off.
Yeah, and he gets mad, and she's like, "We're not actually together. Like, you know that makeout meant, like, nothing, right?" He's like,
"Wink, wink."
"Yeah, totally." And she's like, "But we're friends." Yeah? She's like, so then he's like, "Hannah and I are friends. She's the only female friend I've ever had. I want to keep her as a friend. But I totally want to sleep with her, too."
Yeah.
And, like,
okay,
that's what he knows at that party, that he's like,
there's...
Yes, I want to be with her.
A funny thing about, like, that part of, like, yeah, I want to sleep with her, obviously.
Right.
Page 11 in the book, this is from Garrett's point of view. "What can I say? Hockey players are horny motherfuckers. When we're not on the ice, we can usually be found hooking up with a puck bunny or two. Enter Kendall and Tiffany." So
Great.
That explains why he wants to sleep with Hannah. But she's not a puck bunny. She, like...
No.
Her family's like a football family, right?
Yeah.
I mean, her parents are Blackhawk fans, right?
Yeah, I think they're different fans of a different team or whatever. But
because she does know the rules of hockey.
Yes. But she doesn't like him. I really like when all they're texting and they're doing, like, the back and forth, their banter. I really like their banter in the book.
I do think that they make very good friends.
Yes,
and that's why they make such a good couple.
So they've made out at that point. He realizes he wants to sleep with her. She goes to a coffee shop to meet up with her friends. Justin's there.
Buys her a coffee.
And then Garrett just keeps calling her.
And that's when Justin asks her on the date. And they plan to
go
on
for the week after.
Yeah.
Because he has an away game or something this weekend for football.
Yeah. And then that's the same week that Garrett takes the makeup for the ethics.
Yes.
And he aced it.
Go Garrett.
Well, I don't think he gets an A. I think he gets like a B-, but he still passes the class.
He passes. So she just gets asked on the date by Justin. She says yes. And then Garrett calls her. He keeps calling her. And so Justin's like, maybe you should just answer it. And you can tell Justin's starting to get jealous. But it's like, well, because he thinks they're together. And she says, it's real casual.
Yeah.
And that's what she says. So, but then
Can I say that when I meet a hockey player?
It's real casual.
Me and Eric are just real casual.
Do we
3
live
kids
together
in
and have
9
kids?
years?
Yes, but
it's just casual.
So then he says we have like a party or whatever. Do you want to come to the bar? And she goes, sure.
Oh, to celebrate their win. Or no.
It was a party. It was a birthday.
Right? Tucker, is that his name?
Yes.
Yeah. For
Dean.
There is a Tucker birthday. In there,
yes. Anyway, so he calls her, invites her to the
bar.
And then she is...
And he's like, I'll protect you. I'll make sure nobody puts anything in your drink.
He's not there yet. He just invited her, and then he asks her at school.
Oh, that's right.
So because she told him when he took her to the original party where they were trying to make...
And this is on like a Monday night.
Yeah.
Because they went to
a party Saturday night.
Party for like the football, captain of the football team.
Yeah, for his party. And while they're there, that is when Garrett says, do you want a drink? She says no. And then she says, something happened to my friend. She was drugged and whatever. So... A-, that's what it was. He got
an
on
A-.
the test. So they go to school after he calls and she realizes she now has a date planned for tomorrow with Garrett and Sunday with Justin.
Yeah.
And she is like, wow, he passed. And they're hugging and it's so lovely, whatever. And then he prefaces it by saying, do you trust me? She says yes. And he goes, I want you to have a drink. And she's like, why? She's like, no thanks. Like, I don't want to do that. Like, is that why you invited me? Was like to get me drunk? And he goes, no, like I'm the designated driver. I'm one of your friend. Like, I'll look out for you. And he calls her Wellesley the whole time.
Yeah. See, if I dated a jock and they called me by my last name, I'd be like, are we about to fight right now? Like, when I did my personal training internship, the guy called me by my last name the entire time.
Did he call you Shiffy?
No, he called me Shuffle. I had a friend that used to call me Shuffle, though. He'd call me a dirty hipster, and he'd also call me Shuffle. He'd be like, hey, Shuffle. I'm like, Tyler, shut up. Of course he'd be named Tyler, too.
So he asks her to drink. She goes, I'll think about it. And then later she goes to the bar and she trusts him.
Yeah.
She says, fine, I'll let it drink. I will drink.
Well, that's because he's like, I'll make sure nobody puts anything in your drink. I'll watch it like a
you.
hawk.
I'm not drinking.
Yeah. And she also was like watching and she orders a pina colada.
Yes.
And drinks like 7 of them.
She drinks so many of them.
And then she's like doing karaoke and just being ridiculous. And then
it was, so she goes to the bathroom, he watches out for her, and then they're all sitting around and they're like eating or something, and then this song comes on and
makes Garrett real sad.
And it makes Garrett real sad, and he asks her to dance, and
he's trying not to cry. It's
like
a 7-minute song.
It was a song. I'm trying to remember what the song is. Oh, he plays Leonard Skinner's Tuesday's Gone. That's what it is. And he starts to get like sad. He asks her to dance, and she goes, the song's 7 minutes long. they're dancing, whatever, and he says the song just brings back memories because they played it at his mom's funeral. At this point, she doesn't know about the domestic violence or anything like that. So it kills me because he says, look, it was either dance to it or bawl my eyes out, okay? So yeah, thanks for the dance.
Yeah.
And then he flees. He literally flees to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And so while she's there, then her old boyfriend comes up. And he is, I believe he's with somebody else at that time. Like, he is now gotten with somebody else. And it, makes her feel really bad.
Like, dating someone else?
Yeah, he's dating somebody else. And, whatever. And so she's like, what do you say? He goes, you always did work better alone. And it, stabs her in the gut.
Oh, yeah.
Because of all her intimacy issues and stuff.
Yeah.
So then she just starts crying. And then Garrett's like, why are you crying? And she says, I'm not. And then Then she just starts drinking a whole bunch more. Because she's very upset. And then she doesn't feel like she's normal, and it makes her feel really bad. And then Garrett feels bad because he left her.
Yeah.
He says, I'm not going to leave you the entire night. And then she doesn't. He does. So then he takes her back to his place because they go back there for an after party, I guess, type thing.
Well,
right?
They just moved it there because I think the bar
was closing or something. So she starts to get real drunk.
Yeah.
She starts dancing with Dean, and Garrett doesn't like it. Takes her up to his room, and she says, I had so much fun tonight. See, I might be broken, but I can still have fun. And he's like, what does she mean? But then she's passed out.
Yeah.
So he has no idea.
Well, and he's about to sleep on the floor, but she's like, no,
just sleep
sleep on the bed.
Yeah. Well, so he goes back downstairs, has a bunch of shots, and then comes back up. She starts to kiss him, and he kisses her for a minute, and then he goes, no,
I'm not going to take advantage of you.
You wanted me to look out for you, whatever. And then the next morning, Hannah is like, I've decided Garrett's the answer.
Yeah,
all the problems.
To fix her brokenness.
All her stuff or whatever. But then the end of what chapter is it? 22 kills me, because that's when he finds out.
Yeah.
And so she is trying to kiss him, and she goes, let's sleep together. She goes, no thanks.
Yeah.
And so she just starts crying, and she says, I'm broken and I wanted you to fix me.
Yeah.
And he has no idea what's wrong. So then she tells him. And she goes, I lied to you. I was the one in high school that was raped and whatever. And then Garrett gets pissed.
Yeah.
And then she tells him, and she says, I can't have an orgasm with a guy. And when she was raped, that was her first time too, which he finds out about and is really upset about. So then she starts crying even more, and she just starts saying I'm broken. He goes, you're not broken, I promise. And she says, then help me prove it.
Yeah, fix me.
Fix me. And he says, okay, I will.
And then they make a whole plan.
A whole plan.
Which just makes it seems more intimidating that way.
It does, right? So then they make a plan, and he asks one of his teammates who's in a committed relationship, Birdie, because he doesn't know what to do, so he just is have you ever been with a virgin? What do you do? Kind of treats it the same way.
Yeah.
Because he's I have no idea what to do. So anyway, then they start off slowly, and then he learns she was a virgin, and so then they're trying to trust each other, and it turns out, and she gets really nervous. She doesn't trust him, doesn't trust herself. So then they just get themselves off in front of each other.
Which I don't think I could ever do.
I don't think so either. I'm I don't know, it would be too much for me.
I think that's way too intimate. I'd be no thank you.
I know. So then she's he shows vulnerability, and she tells him she like smiles really good at him, and
she's like,
you're a good guy, and he's like, oh, I just want to see your smile.
Yeah,
but
he tells her baby steps, like we're not just gonna go like straight for it. He's like, we gotta take it slow.
Right.
So that's kind of like they build up to it. I think like the next time they do oral, and then after that,
she cries.
And she cries.
And she's like, these are happy tears.
She's like, it finally happened. I can have an orgasm.
And then, and I thought it was really sweet. She ends up coming over, and she cries afterwards, and it's great. And then he has to go to practice. So he goes to practice.
She stays there.
And she stays there because he says, you can just hang out here.
Yeah.
So she does. She ends up calling her mom and is like, what's the recipe for the lasagna? Cooks for all of them.
Like doubles it.
Like makes a lot of food. So she's playing for all of them or cooking, I mean, for all of them. And Garrett is still like, I don't want a girlfriend. Like, she isn't interested in me. I don't want a girlfriend and whatever. But then he starts to rethink it and was like, maybe I do.
Yeah.
Maybe I specifically want Hannah, not a girlfriend. They go to have they
go to Thanksgiving?
No, it's Halloween.
Oh,
and he doesn't celebrate Halloween, and she feels bad that he's alone. She goes to his house, and he spills his guts about how his dad hit him, hit his mom, all that
and
stuff.
that he was like happy that his mom died because then his dad wasn't going to hit her anymore.
Right, which is so sad. And that he was like relieved, and it makes him feel bad about it, whatever.
Yeah.
So then she mentions that he thought her name started with an M.
And that's where we get And she's like, you thought my name was Manna? And he's like, no.
Like Molly
Mandy,
or something. And then they're like, and he says, how did I go so long without noticing you? Why did it take a stupid A on your midterm to notice me? And she goes, it doesn't matter, you know me now.
Yeah.
And then they're like, I like you.
I like you too.
But she still has the date with Justin. And it's like, what? And so he's like, we're totally together. And she's like, sure.
But I got a date
with Justin. And he has no idea. And when he finds out, she is pissed.
Yeah.
Or he's pissed.
Yeah.
Because it's one of his friends that who is it that tells him? It's one of his friends that it's Logan tells him.
We'll get into that next time.
Tells him like that Justin was at this party and said, I'm going out with Hannah Sunday. And he's like, what do you mean? So he goes straight to her house, her little apartment, whatever, gets pissed at her and says, you're not going on the date. She gets pissed. They get into it. And she tells him, or I guess reminds him, like, you said you don't do girlfriends. He says, well, maybe my priorities have changed. I don't know. So then they fight and whatever, and he ends up leaving. And that's it. He ends up like leaving after they get into this big fight.
Well, she goes out and runs
and then
him.
She runs out after him, and she's like, you didn't even let me like talk or explain or anything. She's ended up canceling the date. So then they've decided that they're gonna date. And they're gonna be boyfriend and girlfriend. Then they end up going on this. Then it's like Thanksgiving. And his dad is forcing him to come to Thanksgiving
to meet his dad's
new girlfriend. He doesn't even know. Garrett didn't even know he was dating.
Yeah.
And he asks Hannah to come. Hannah comes, and they realize that his dad has been
abusing her. Like they both know it. Like because it's
right
like
away.
Really hot in the house, but she's like wearing this like cover up.
They end up leaving. It's not good. He feels bad the whole time. And she makes him like pull over, and it's like, you're not like your dad. You're nothing like your dad. Whatever.
Freaky in the Jeep.
And the best part of the whole book, this is my favorite part, which is the audio that they made on TikTok, where he's like, did you re-download One Direction?
Oh,
and
yeah.
That part, because she's obsessed. And then I started re-listening to One Direction. after I read this book the second time.
Oh, gosh.
They were popular when I was a teenager. I have to listen to them. So, then they tell each other they love each other.
And then enters Garrett's dad, where he tells Hannah that they need to break up, or he's going to cut Garrett off, and she's like, that can't happen.
Like, he needs everything, and she doesn't tell him.
Yeah.
Because she knows if she tells him that he'll choose her.
Yeah, and she doesn't want that.
She doesn't want him to give up his whole dream.
And this is like just after Thanksgiving.
Just after Thanksgiving,
so they go
right?
like Christmas break and New Year's Eve, and they don't
so
talk to each other.
She breaks up with him. She's been avoiding him. She avoids him. Then she breaks up with him by telling him that she wants to see other people. She wants to see if there's something better out there.
Yeah.
And he gets pissed. And so he's like, wait, let me get it straight. You love me, but you didn't want to date. And now you want to sleep with other guys? Like,
and he doesn't believe her for a second.
No. So then he leaves, and then he calls her a coward.
Yeah.
And I was like, knife right in the gut. It was rough. So then it's just like her just missing him.
Yeah.
And she is so sad. She does the winter performance, which she ends up doing by herself because her partner dumps her, so she sings her original song. She steals the cellist. And it's just great. So he shows up, tells her she was so beautiful, and they haven't spoken in a week. And then he tells her, I don't believe you. I don't know why you dumped me, but you lied, and I'm going to find out why. And she's like, no, like I really want to date other people. And he goes, yeah, sure. We'll see it.
And then he tells everyone there's hands off Hannah. Nobody's allowed to date her. He only tells a couple people, but then they tell people because she tries to date.
She tries to date
that guy that she danced. Well, the guy that she danced with at the first party, where her and Garrett like
made their deal, whatever. Yeah. So she meets up with the guy Sean, and she's like, "Finish your sentence." What do you mean? So then she charges into the hockey locker room. And is like, what the hell is wrong with you?
That was my favorite part because she walks in and she's like, penises everywhere!
Because it's a locker room, so they're all like showering and changing, and she's like, what's happening? So then she goes and she yells at him, and she's like, you turned everybody against me, whatever, nobody wants to date me. And she's like, I came to yell at you. And the coach is like, doesn't the coach come in and is like, what is happening?
Yeah.
So she said, he's like, you're lying to me. Or the coach comes in and he goes, it's not what it looks like. And the coach is like, it looks like you're showering in front of your girlfriend in my locker room. And he goes, yeah, you're right. But I'm trying to win her back. It's totally peachy.
And the coach is just like, carry on.
We'll let you win her back, whatever. So then he's like, why did you break up with me? She starts giving all the excuses. We're moving too fast. I wanted to see other people. And then she finally tells him it's your dad.
Yeah.
And then she gets pissed. And then
he starts laughing.
And he's like, well, if you would have told me, I would have told you I got a trust fund. Like,
when I turned 21.
Which was New Year's Day. So then he ends up... they end up getting back together because she says, like, he gave his dad a check, and he goes, I'm good. Like,
I'm done.
We're good. And then they say they love each other again, and then they go. And that is that.
Yeah, that's the deal.
That's the deal. And it was great. And then it ends up with him going to a game, and he plays a game, and he ignores his dad.
Yeah.
And then they're happy together. His dad's out of his life, and
that's not the end of Garrett and Hannah, though. It does.
But that's the end of the deal.
It's the end of the deal. They do talk about them in The Mistake, which is the second book in the Deal series. We'll do that on another episode. But I like this book. I gave it a 5 out of 5 on Goodreads.
I gave it a 5 out of 5 both times.
Yes, we did read this twice.
I was unsure the second time because I was like, maybe it wasn't as good as I remember it, right? Because, I mean, we read this, back in February?
Yeah.
So we've read tons since then, a lot of hockey books since then. So I was like, what if it isn't as good as I remember it being? But it was as good, and I loved it. So.
I still think it's
5 stars.
I thought it was good. both times that we read it.
Both times. And I just love Garrett, so I'm excited to read the rest of them, see more, because there's, like Ashley said, there's 5. There's the first 4 are all about different people, but then the 5th one, they're all together.
Yeah.
So it'll be good.
Yeah.
We'll have to read it.
I guess that kind of wraps up our first episode of Two Girls, One Book Club, which if you understand the reference to that name, you are also old like me.
But if not, and you have to be explained,
please don't Google it. Really don't do it. You'll be scarred for life. But yeah, so we'll see you guys in the next episode. Sorry for all the background noise from our crazy kids. We're moms. It happens. But yeah, we'll see you guys in the next episode of Two Girls, One Book Club.
Our book is to be determined, but
we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. It'll be great.
Yeah.